Hey guys, welcome back to the channel today. This is PrepTexas. Today we're going to go over why the internet got the Recce Loadout wrong. Now, I think there's been this misconception about what a Recce loadout should be, and I want to try to get this straightened out for you guys because I know there's a lot of things going on in the world right now that seem to be getting close to a dangerous situation. So one of the things that we're going to go over is things like why your 7.5-inch AR isn't going to work for a Recce loadout, and why the fact that if you put an LPVO on your AR, you still don't have a Recce loadout. There's so much more that goes into it, guys. I want you to start using your thoughts and your brains, critically thinking to make sure that you're prepared as much as possible for SHTF. And then I want you to take these things and put them into use. Put your gear on, take your gun out, shoot at long distances, view through long distances through your scope, train with the equipment that you have, guys, so you can be ready for SHTF just like we are. And I think that we have this misconcepted idea of what a Recce loadout should be based on the internet and not based on experience and putting on gear and going to the woods. So a couple things that I want to cover here is maybe some of the things you're not thinking about in your Recce loadout. And I want you guys to really critically think about this because your 10.5-inch AR with the LPVO doesn't make your loadout a Recce loadout. And I'm sorry to say that, guys. There's so much more that goes to it. Matter of fact, I've heard it said that reconnaissance units or sniper units make more kills with the radio than with the trigger. And that's because they're essentially an overwatch. So they're going to be able to put eyes on things from a long distance and give information back to the people who need it. In SHTF, guys, I'm not sure that that's going to be a huge issue. I'm not sure you're going to be crawling on your belly for 2 hours to get somewhere, to watch an outpost for 2 days, and then radio back in to someone else who's going to use that information. So then why all of these Recce loadout setups for SHTF? Are we going to be collecting data on a bunch of people after the shit hits the fan? Or are we going to just be trying to survive and not be seen? If you're crawling around on your belly trying to do reconnaissance to an opposing force, you probably have a lot bigger problems than just trying to survive. Now, if we were to have some kind of invader, which I doubt will ever happen, maybe you would have to do some recon on them to see where their supplies are, where their supply lines are, where they keep their supplies, and how to take those things out. But realistically, guys, we're just going to be trying to survive. We're not going to have to do overwatch, and we're not going to have to write a salute report on opposing units for days at a time. And we're not going to be using 7.5-inch AR-15s to make 400 or 500 yard shots with an LPVO like the internet seems to think we are. So let's jump into some things that we might actually need in a quote-unquote Recce loadout and why your Recce loadout isn't one. First, guys, one of the most important things that I don't see people talk about in a quote-unquote Recce loadout is a radio. A radio is going to be one of the most important things that you can have doing reconnaissance, again, because your job is to just transfer information. From what you see through your scope to your eye, comes out of your mouth into someone else's ear that can use the information more than you can. This is going to be a null and void point after SHTF. I'm not saying radios. Communication is a very important part of SHTF, and I definitely think that you should have a comm setup with a schedule, with call signs, with different frequencies with the people that you're going to run with to make sure that you can stay in contact. But how often are you going to be overwatching for a team of door kickers that are going to make moves? Or how often are you going to be in the woods trying to survive? So I want you guys to take this Recce Loadout idea and turn it into a loadout that makes you invisible in the woods. I want you guys to start thinking more on the line of, I'm never going to be seen to engage, instead of, I need a plate carrier with level 4 plates because I'm going to be face to face shooting guns all day long in SHTF. So another thing that I want you guys to think about is camouflage. Now, most of you guys who have learned how to be preppers or learned how to shoot and things like that from YouTube or from social media, you think that you have to have a multicam uniform. You think that you have to have the battle shirts with the little crooked Velcro pouches on the side that are rolled up 1/4 of the way, and this crazy bump helmet and all these things that the media makes you think. Realistically, guys, hunting camouflage is probably the best camouflage for your area if you can buy camouflage that's going to be specific for your area. We have to remember the military makes camouflage to work in different environments, not just one. If you know the environment you're going to be in, why wouldn't you buy a specialized camouflage just for that? Like this mossy oak breakup veil right here. So another thing about this multicam lifestyle that I see is multicam is expensive as crap, guys. I don't know if you have been out looking at the different prices of camouflage gear, but the same 2 pairs of pants, one being Woodlands and one being multicam, is going to be double the price than the other. This Woodlands cam works just fine in the environments that we are in, and as you can see, I've done some modifications to the top about 1/4 of the jacket for my back and my arms, and I've made this boonie hat right here with some ghillie material. Now, this is stuff that we definitely need to talk about, because making your own ghillie suits, guys, is super easy. You just need some netting, know how to work a needle and thread, and some of this camouflage yarn material to thread through there. And there's no rules, guys. Make it look dirty. When you're done with it, take it and drag it through the mud. So I want you guys to really start thinking about the important things about SHTF and the fact that you're not going to be laying on your belly overwatching something from 1,000 yards, calling calls back through a radio to a team who's going to use it. If you're going to engage, make sure that you're engaging on your terms and not someone else's terms. You can do that by knowing your camouflage and knowing your movements. So if you're working correctly, you'll never be seen and never have to engage unless you choose to. If you do have to engage when you're not expecting it, you can be ready for that without a body full of body armor. How about, guys, instead of going to buy a new Strybog or a new PCC or some super short micro Draco AK, why don't you guys buy a silencer for your fighting rifle? Why don't you guys buy a nice comm setup? Maybe take some of that money and invest in night vision so you can move through the dark and even better your chances of never being seen. These are things that we got to think about, guys. Rethink your loadout with an actuality. Rethink what you're going to be using in SHTF. Are you going to be able to change loadouts, change gear? Are you going to have one suit, one sword, one body armor? Think about it, guys. Make sure that you're doing things like making your own ghillie tops if you're going to be in the woods. Make sure you're doing things like having call signs, frequencies, and call schedules for your team. Make sure you're doing things like trying to suppress the end of your weapon so your flash signature is lower. How about sleeping gear? Are you guys going to have some really Gucci sleeping gear packed up in your Vertex bag to sleep on? Are you going to sleep at all if you're doing a reconnaissance mission? Are you going to just kind of roll over in your hide and take a nap, wake back up, and keep fighting? What about your feet? Your 10.5-inch Daniel Defense with a muzzle brake ain't going to keep your feet warm, homie. Make sure you're using some good wool socks that are going to insulate even if they're wet. Make sure you have some kind of wool blanket or maybe some kind of bivy sack to make sure that you're staying warm if it's cold, or dry if the ground is damp. Make sure you have some kind of cover to cover your pack with, so if it starts pouring, all of your gear don't get wet and ruined. Think about this stuff realistically, guys. The internet has got the Recce Loadout wrong, and a lot of guys on the internet have fell for it. So start doing some critical thinking for yourself, guys. Let's get these Recce loadouts the way that they should be and get everybody's mind prepared for what's inevitably coming. Thanks for stopping by again today, guys. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and share. Hit that little bell notification so you can see when we release new videos. Maybe think about hitting that join button down below, or perhaps checking out some of our merch. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. This is PrepTexas signing off.